emergency traffic. We have multiple houses on fire.
Go ahead.
I need somebody to respond on an elderly female that's unable to evacuate and her yard is on fire.
The Marshall Fire on approach was, you could tell it was going to be a devastating day. Knowing that the winds were howling and in the 100-mile-an-hour range.
The first thing I noticed was just the amount of homes that were on fire. It just seemed everywhere we were going, there were homes that were fully involved.
5337 Marshall, a structure is about to be overtaken.
We got into a neighborhood and there were houses burning up and down the street.
Yeah, the fire is going to be moving in a eastern direction.
And this is the situation where, one house is burning and the whole thing's on fire. And because the whole thing's on fire and the wind's blowing, then parts of it and embers and smoke and flames and everything are all burning around the neighborhood, and then the next house is on fire. The Marshall Fire moved so fast, we had to determine whether or not we could do anything to the house with the time that we had, which was minutes.
Cherryville Command, I have you with 5 resources at this point. Do you need more help out there?
Definitely we were met with the most challenging fire environment any of us had ever seen.
Hey, firm.
The worst part, we call it triage. So there was homes that were already beyond saving. But we were able to find that line in the sand basically, and found a place where we could safely engage. We had a good water supply, and we had enough resources to make a stand on many, many homes with aggressive firefighting and structure protection.
Nothing but foundations right here.
Yeah, 3 houses in a row. Oh, I think we stopped that. I think we're gonna make a good stop at this house.
Yeah. Well, that house would have caught.
Yeah,
sure.
Totally saved that house. Right here.
My initial thoughts when we pulled in and saw sort of the enormity of the devastation was, where do we fit in? Where do we even start? That was sort of my first thought. Where can we start to engage this fire, but in the safest way possible? And so we have to take a step back, evaluate the whole situation, see what we have going on, what we expect the fire to do. And under the types of wind conditions that we had, that was sort of an unknown, as we saw fire spreading from home to home very quickly. And so we had to be careful about where we set up, where we decided to engage the fire. But once we did, we had to make sure that we were able to get our people out quickly if the fire were to spread as fast as we had seen it already spreading.
We want all units to operate in a safe area.
We were covering an area about 105-acre footprint, but within that area, there was 21 streets we were patrolling, and roughly around 384 structures and 1 school. The resources assigned to me were Brush Engine 9 and Brush 17 from West Metro, and Brush 21 from Golden, and Arvada Engine 56.
Marshall Command, yeah, I copy that message, thanks.
Just starting with 4 engines was an astronomical task, but as the command post and divisions started receiving more apparatus, at one point we were up to 11 total engines that we were able to send around that community and find any opportunity for engagement to draw that line in the sand on that next street.
Go ahead.
Well, that first street we set up on where Brush Engine 9 and Arvada's Type 1 engine were parked and had secured a water supply, we decided that we were going to try and make our stop at the sidewalk that went between these 2 houses and at this house over here. So Arvada had this side of the street and West Metro had this side of the street, and we were successful there. We had decided that this is where we were going to try and make our stop, that we were going to try and save this house, knowing that this house was likely to burn down, and we were successful in that. It took a long time because we had to wait, that house was still going to burn down, and we did what we could to try and control it, but there wasn't any saving it. So we were able to save the rest of the neighborhood with only the one end of the street that burned. It's tragic. That's still 16, 18 houses that all burned down, but we were in a position with the resources that we needed to be able to say, we're going to try and make our stand here.
In these situations, sometimes we can attach to a hydrant and sometimes we can't. And so our water supply can be fairly limited. We did identify that a lot of homes had garden hoses in the area, and that was an unlimited water supply for us for quite a while. It was actually quite effective, especially during the heavy ember storm later in the evening, around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. We were getting a lot of embers falling on homes. And we used garden hoses as much as we did the hoses off of our engine.
We had resources from all over the state that showed up on this. I think every agency worked seamlessly well together, engaged in the fight of our life.
Division Zulu, Branch 1 on Red Northwest.
The common goal was to effect change, was to get in and to try and save and protect as much property and as many lives as we could.
416, I'm going to start evacuating this area.
Unfortunately, we did lose a fair number of structures, but in the grand scheme of things, we saved way more than were lost.
I understand that we have fire moving that way. We're just trying to get folks ahead of it.
I think that's the difficult part, is that it's easy when you're in that situation to focus on what you've lost. But I think what we have to do is step back and remember the victories that we had, the saves that we were able to make, and to focus on the fact that the devastation for these families and these businesses is almost incomprehensible. But we had a lot of victories too, and we were able to stop the fire, not only in our division, but I know throughout there's a lot of homes and businesses that weren't lost because of what those firefighters did.
It's still settling in my head, what we witnessed. We went in really unknowing what we were going to see. That day we were staffed with an experienced engineer and 2 very inexperienced firefighters, and they handled themselves professionally. They did good work. They worked real hard all through the night. And when we went home, I knew that it would be something that I'd have to check back on them to make sure that they were okay with it in their head, but they had done good work.